All right, and we are live. And let's see if this is going out okay onto the old YouTubes there. Make sure I sound all right. Okay, sounds all right. All right, so just me and that cricket that I'm not sure if you can hear. I don't know where the hell he is, but he's in this room somewhere. Not sure if you can hear him, but kind of pissing me off. Okay, so some programming notes before I get too heavily into anything here. Tomorrow night will obviously be the regular Saturday show. Sunday night, and I'm not sure the time. Stay tuned for the time, but sometime Sunday night, or perhaps even Sunday afternoon, I will be doing a live stream, which is sponsored on the history of the Thunderbolts comic book over at Marvel, primarily focusing on the early history of it, but also going over the overall history of it. That'll be me and Luke. And next Sunday will be another sponsored live stream in which I will be reviewing both versions of Stephen King's It, the TV movie, and the current theatrical movie. I'll be reviewing both, giving my overall thoughts on both, comparing and contrasting the two, and dissecting any themes, whatever. So those are two sponsored live streams that I'll be doing in the next couple weeks. And for those of you who are interested, and I still really haven't worked out exactly how much I charge. It varies. It's negotiable. Let me put it that way. But for those of you who are interested, if there is a particular topic you want me to cover for a fee, I will get on here and cover that topic exclusively for no less than an hour. Possibly me and Luke, or possibly just me. So yeah, that'll be the two next sponsored live streams. And like I said, if you want to sponsor a live stream, get in touch with me. We can work something out. And if you just enjoy the show, if you just enjoy all this wonderful quality content, as DSP likes to say, that I'm producing for you, there's the tip jar down below where you can send me some shekels, and that's greatly appreciated. All right. So, what the hell did I want to talk about? I was just on a live stream. I popped into Davis's live stream earlier tonight, as it's technically Friday morning here at 12:20 in the AM. But I checked into Davis's live stream, hopped in there. He was discussing some Netflix show called Big Mouth that's supposed to come out. It just looks just atrocious. Now, the premise of the show is an animated adult comedy show about a bunch of tweens, kind of middle school kids, just getting into puberty kids. And there's even characters like the puberty fairy or the hormone monster, or whatever that, in actual premise, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I've heard people sexualizing kids. I don't think that's what it's attempting to do. Because let's be real here. Middle schoolers are sexually curious. When you're hitting puberty, when puberty's kicking in, you become sexually curious. Obviously, that's biology 101. And middle schoolers in particular, but kids in general, are foul-mouthed like you wouldn't believe. Once a kid is late elementary school, especially in the middle school, he is unbelievably foul-mouthed the moment he or she is 10 feet away from an adult. Because, they're trying to, they heard this swear word somewhere and they're trying to act fucking mature, like they know what the hell the world is. So in concept, I don't think the show is inherently flawed. In execution, it's horrendously flawed, at least based on the commercials. I mean, obviously, I haven't seen the show. I don't really have any intention of seeing the show. Maybe one day I'll get bored and give the first episode a look, but probably not. But it just looks awful. And it's just because it's missing any kind of heart or wit. And more importantly, it's missing balls. It really is. Like, it's just so fucking safe to do this kind of quote unquote shocking sexual humor and shit like that. It's just so unbelievably safe. And I respect ballsy humor. I really do. Even if it's, not from a position I agree with, but nothing about this it's part of that is because we've degenerated so much as a culture that it's hard to cross lines. Not impossible, mind you. You just kind of got to turn right instead of turning left to cross those lines. But it's just so pitifully safe. And as I said, I think it was last night's stream. I have no patience for fake rebellion anymore. I just don't. I have no patience for your hot topic rebellion. I can respect a genuine rebel. I can respect somebody who's genuinely edgy. But I have no patience for the fake edginess anymore. Yeah, none whatsoever. So I was arguing this on Twitter, and it's not a good place to argue because of just the limitations of the medium. Twitter is for pithy little sound bites, and that's about it. So I'll make this case on here, and I've made this case before. Hell, going back to when this was the Bechtloff podcast and pre-recorded. But in my opinion, the Catholic Church right now is overrun with R-types. Its leadership is certainly overrun with R-types. Hell, the Pope is an R-type. And there's a reason for that. And I believe that reason stems from the Catholic Church's policy on family planning. And I'm not talking about abortion. Okay, that's a whole different topic. I'm talking about non-abortive birth control. And I'm going to come out right here and say, and this is, unpopular amongst some of my radical trad listeners, but I don't think there's anything wrong with family planning within marriage. Some of the things I heard people say, like, well, if a couple doesn't want to have kids, they shouldn't have sex. Well, no, couples should have sex. A married couple should have sex all the time. They should be constantly having fucking sex. No pun intended there. Because sex bonds a marriage. Sex is to argue that sex is nothing but procreation is to reduce us to the level of animals. Sex is a bonding element within a marriage. And I believe a marriage is between a man and a woman is a good thing before kids are even introduced into it. Because it makes both the man and the woman better. A healthy marriage, obviously. But like, oh, well, you can have sex with your spouse once in a while without getting them pregnant. Who the fuck wants to have sex with their spouse once in a while? The fuck kind of marriage is that? I expect that from the cold New England wasps. Okay. Now, I will say that Protestants have this misconception too. Conservative Protestants, particularly conservative evangelicals, also have this idea that you should pump out as many kids as fucking possible, with no thought to whether or not you can actually care for these kids. Now, yes, you can be, I'm not talking about antinatalism. Obviously, you can be too cautious about it. But these fucking people that don't breed them if you can't feed them. It's that fucking simple. And I'll give you an example. And I'm not going to name names, but these are two people I knew in my former church Now, this is conservative Protestants, it's evangelical. So don't think I'm just, I'm always, every time I dare to poke at the Catholic Church, I'm accused of only attacking the Catholic Church, when I have to wonder if you listen to my show, because I shit on churchianity, conservative Protestants all the time. So this is a problem that faces them too. This idea of, to think of sex as just being about procreation reduces us to the level of animals. It's the kind of thing I'd expect from a fedora atheist, frankly. And interestingly enough, they're so obsessed with cummies, they don't take that position. But I mean, if you truly were all about being an evolutionist, it's the kind of thing I'd expect from you. To argue that sex has to be about first and foremost procreation, it's essentially to argue that eating has to always be first and foremost about nutrition. In other words, that same line of reasoning, to have sex without any intention of having kids, if that is inherently sinful, obviously with your spouse, within the confines of marriage, I'm talking about. I can't stress that enough. If that's inherently sinful, then eating a piece of cake is inherently sinful, because you're divorcing this pleasure from its biological function. Cake has no nutritional value, after all. So, again, an example from my former church. And again, I'm not going to name names. I'm not even going to give his position, because that would name names if you were playing internet detective, and listening through hours and hours of live streams to get all the details. But a higher up in this church, I remember at one point he was pregnant. Or his wife was pregnant. I misspoke. Sorry. Yeah, he was pregnant. No, we're not the Guardian talking about men having babies. But no, she was pregnant. And these people, this was the third child. This guy could not he could not financially care for these children. He was on already all kinds of government assistance and was going to have to apply for more because of this child. And I dared to say, I'm like, why are you having more kids? You're already in it, because he was already kind of getting sort of denied government assistance. Because if you're not a dindu, it's not, if you're actually fucking white, sometimes it's hard to get it. But he wasn't getting all the government assistance he thought he was going to. Let me put it that way. I mean, he's already on food stamps. He's already a fucking parasite. But I said to him, I'm like, you already can't feed the kids you have. What are you doing? And he said to me, "Oh, God will provide." And I heard the same argument from a Catholic fellow I was arguing with on Twitter. God will provide for you. That's sinful. That attitude is sinful. It's wrong. And I'll cite why using the Bible. And I know the Bible barely means a damn thing to you Catholics, but I kid. Kinda. But I'll start using the Bible, and I don't have the exact verse in front of me. I'm not going to bother looking it up. It doesn't matter. I know the verse. I know the story. When Christ is being tempted by the devil, one of the temptations was the devil took him up to the high point on the temple, I believe. I believe it was a temple. I know it was some high point. I believe it was up on the temple. And he says to Christ, "Throw yourself off this high ledge, and the angels will come and save you." And Christ says, "You do not put your Lord God to the test. You do not presume on God." Now, the moral there, the lesson there, the thing we're supposed to take away, because Christ was modeling behavior for us in these temptations. Because, I mean, he was God. He could have, banished the devil from his presence. But he responded to him as we are to respond to him. Quoting scripture, relying on God, that sort of thing. He says, "Do not take your God to the test." In other words, do not put yourself willingly and knowingly in a bad position. Just assume God's going to bail you out. that is inherently sinful, which means having more kids than you can afford and just expecting God to take care of your irresponsible breeding, that is inherently sinful. Now, he may. The good Lord cares for fools and Englishmen, as the old saying used to go. And Lord knows I put my dumb ass in many an idiotic position that he has bailed me out of, and likely will again. But I dare not assume on that. I dare not take that for granted. I dare not just assume that he's going to bail me out, because that's sinful. That's wrong. So when you have more kids than you can afford to care for, because, oh, well, it's just going to work out, God's going to take care of me, that's sinful and it's wrong. God's not your genie. He's not there to bail you out because you purposely put yourself in a bad situation. He might. Again, Lord knows he's bailed my dumb ass out many a times from many a self-inflicted bad situation. But you dare not rely on that. You dare not expect that. Now, my premise here on why the Catholic Church has become so undeniably R-type, and you could sit here and point to this or that bishop that said some ballsy thing. I actually had the guy I was arguing with quoted Pope from 100 years ago to try and disprove me that the Catholic Church is R-type right now. Here's where the Catholic Church adopted a no contraception, no birth control, pump out as many kids as you want policy. And they've had that policy for a very long time. Now, that policy kind of made sense in its original context. Its original context was within very K-type Europe, where A, conditions were much harsher. You know, half your kids were likely to die before they reached maturity. And B, let's face facts, us K-types, we're a little bit, we maybe could afford to pump out more kids than we're prone to. We're maybe perhaps a little too cautious regarding the situation. So maybe that policy serves K-types well. But then the Catholic Church didn't just stay in Europe, did they? They expanded to many a third world, many an R-type location. And in fact, where is it the Catholic Church flourishes the most right now? Primarily in third world R-type locations. South America, the Philippines, areas like that. Among R-type people. And why is that? Because they took that same policy, which wasn't a biblical policy. Yes, there's the idea of be fruitful and multiply, but that's just a general concept. And again, when you read things in context, you know, the good Lord said that when there were two people. You know, when you're slipping within that story, you know, there were two people there. So when you're slip and fall away from extinction, time to build up them numbers. He didn't say breed irresponsibly until you've exhausted your resources. So again, you take a general kind of idea and make it a set in stone commandment is idiotic. But that's what the church did. And primarily they did that for political power reasons. I mean, they wanted to bolster their numbers. You know, the Catholic Church didn't get to be one of the world's largest landowners by a happy accident. They are very, very shrewd. Well, you take that policy and you apply it to R-type people. People who are already prone to breed more than they can afford. People are already, you know, prone to just pump them out without a second thought. And you tell them that any manner of family planning is inherently sinful, except, of course, the rhythm method, which doesn't really work. And by the way, I had somebody tell me, like, how do you know it doesn't work? Well, first and foremost, I know it doesn't work because the Catholic Church promotes it. You know, if it worked, they would tell you not to do it. So what happened here? Well, no matter how much you encourage K-types to breed, there's a lot of people that think, oh, we're going to just encourage K-types to outbreed R-types. Not going to happen, my friend. Not going to happen. Okay? Never going to happen. Because R-types, I mean, especially when you introduce things like free money and fucking welfare into the thing, those motherfuckers can breed like gremlins in a pool, all right? Pretty sure you can get your average Puerto Rican woman pregnant just by sheer power of thought. You can just masturbate to a picture of a Puerto Rican woman, damn near get her pregnant, all right? You're not going to outbreed them. And again, in areas of Africa where the Catholic Church has a good amount of prominence and all, they again encourage this among R-type people. You encourage this among R-type people, suddenly the R-types vastly outnumber the K-types among each church. You end up with an R-type church. And now you've ended up with an R-type pope. And I have a feeling you're going to have R-type popes for a very long time to come. Certainly at the current rate you're going. But hey, that's just me. Maybe that's just my idea. Every conservative Catholic I've talked to has assured me that no, things are going to turn around. Just because. It's weird. I believe in the doctrine of eternal security. I believe when you're saved, you're always saved. If you are truly saved, sealed by the Holy Spirit, that you become a new person, and that's period. You are never going to lose that. You have eternal life. Period. It's non-negotiable. Now, many Catholics, of course, sneer at that. Oh, it's dangerous. People just do whatever they want, and how it's very spiritually autistic of them. And the truth is often dangerous. So, But it's funny because they actually have their own version of the eternal security doctrine. They don't call it that, of course. I'm sure there's some fancy Latin name for their version of it. But see, they apply it to an institution rather than eternal souls made in the image of God. They apply it to an institution, the Catholic Church. They believe the Catholic Church is the one true church. And that is a status that the Catholic Church can never forfeit, regardless of what they do, regardless of how they behave, regardless of what they say. They can never forfeit that. Which is interesting because in Revelations, for example, Christ specifically talks about taking the lampstands away from churches that have become dead branches. Not sure exactly why you Catholics imagine the Vatican to be immune to that. But you do. It's your version of the eternal security doctrine. Nothing the Catholic Church ever does can forfeit its status as the one true church. Doesn't matter how much of its leadership is made up of Marxist pedophiles. Doesn't matter. Nope. Just keep those tithes coming. Oh, it'll turn around. Don't worry. It'll turn around. All right. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to spend on that. Because again, I was back and forth on Twitter with it, and Twitter is a bad place to have those kind of conversations. When you actually have to explain your point a bit. So I just figured, I'm just spell it out here. I've spelled it out before, but there it is again. I'm sure it falls on deaf ears, but there it is. Let's see. Pardon me. Somebody in the chat said, Bechtloff, you've managed to get some pretty big names on your channel. Razorfist, Matoker, how do you do it? I don't know, just ask. Razorfist ended up following me because of my writings for reaction. Indeed, in one of his videos, there's a screen cap of one of my reaction articles up there. And I think he ended up following me on Twitter. I just invited him on the channel. He came on, a while ago. He'll come on periodically. Every once in a while I invite him on. He's a much bigger he's much bigger than me, so let's be real, he's kind of slumming it when he comes on here. But I appreciate it. I love having him on. He's always good to talk to. And you got to understand, like, I've asked shit tons of people. Like, basically, if you're remotely interesting and I think you would all be open to coming on here, I've asked you to be on here. I just ask people constantly, just shamelessly. Just, hey, you want to come on my channel? Now, I prefer to do it if I can send them an email or PM or something like that, a direct message. I don't like to just send them a tweet or something like that. I feel like that's almost just a bit obnoxious. I don't know. It's kind of arbitrary on my part, but it just feels a bit obnoxious to me. Or I wouldn't ask him in like the comment section of a video or something like that. I don't feel like I want to put people on the spot publicly. Like, hey, would you like to come on my channel in front of a whole bunch of people or something? So I try to ask privately if I can. But yeah, I just send out invitations. It's simple as that. And there's a lot of people I've asked on who, you know, I asked that guy from Harvest Bible Church, you know, who agreed to come on and then just stopped returning my emails and then agreed to come on again. And said, you know, he's just some weirdo, really. God, those guys are weird. By the way, as much as I shit on the Catholic Church, like, oh, you don't ever shit on Protestants, bullshit. I fucking declared jihad damn near on the Harvest Bible Church. I mean, shit. I ragged about them for forever. You know, I think James McDonald's a piece of shit. He's also a fucking moron. You want to talk about stupid and just spiritually autistic? Okay, let's. You know, I was shitting on a Catholic. Let's shit on a Protestant, just to be fair, and not Joel Osteen. Y'all fucking Catholics like to bring him up like he matters. Like, there's a reason the liberal media likes to put Joel Osteen out there. He is to Christianity what, you know, fucking Richard Spencer is to white identity politics. A useful attention whore idiot that the left likes to prop up. But anyways, so James McDonald, the big guy between the Harvest Bible, Borg fucking collective network of churches. That's the other thing about us Protestants. You know, we rightfully so reject the idea of a pope, and then constantly want to make little mini popes. And the tragedy of human nature, I suppose. You know, we constantly want someone else to be the leader of the church instead of Christ, because it's just easier that way. But anyways, this fucking dumbass. And I wish I could. I might have written it down on my blog, the exact date that he aired one of these episodes. But this moron, he was talking about some passage in the Bible where it described the devil as a wolf, right? As a, you know, probably within the context of describing believers as sheep. And he started in on like how it's evil, how we have the North American timber wolf is on the, I guess, endangered species list. And he said it's wrong for us to try and preserve this species because wolves are evil. Like, he actually thought like wolves are evil. Like, oh, the Bible describes them as demons. And like, you know, they're so destructive and they're evil and we shouldn't bother trying to save them. We should be wiping them out. Because like, he actually thought like wolves were demons. Are demonic because the Bible used that as an analogy to describe demons. I would actually, I'd love to interview James McDonald, because I'd be like, I'd love to get your thoughts on whether lions are evil or not, because both God and the devil have been described as lions. So I'm not sure what your take on that is. That must be a difficult thing to process for you, because you don't understand what the fucking analogy is. You fucking creepy bald retard. The other thing he said is remarkably stupid, and this is some of the bullshit moralization in churchianity, is the dumbass. He had a whole fucking sermon about why Christians shouldn't drink alcohol. Christians shouldn't drink alcohol. It's no Christian should drink alcohol. To actually think that drinking alcohol is sin, when Jesus Christ himself, the sinless Lamb of God, both drank and performed miracles to allow other people to drink. That's literally a Pharisee territory where you imagine yourself holier than Jesus. And basically his bullshit reasoning all boiled down to alcohol is easy to abuse. Well, I mean, so is sugar. Hell, it's probably easier. I guess no one, Christians is sinful. Again, coming back to sinful to eat a piece of cake, I suppose. Oh, this is an interesting comment. Somebody, and making fun of Christian moralization, says, apparently it's sinful to say the word fuck 100% of the time for some fucking reason. Now, this is interesting. I think using the Lord's name in vain is sinful. Now, I admit that I do it sometimes, and God forgive me. But I try not to. I do try to avoid doing that. I think that is inherently sinful. As for other swear words, fuck, nigger, shit, cunt, faggot, whatever. That's a question of manners more than morality. And as Undertow once brilliantly said on here, there are many within the church that can't seem to differentiate manners from morality. But that's a time and a place kind of thing. There are times that harsh language is entirely called for. And, it is obviously, different words are called for at different times, Except what's acceptable talk in a locker room is not necessarily acceptable talk in a boardroom. Manners, there's nothing inherently morally wrong with eating a Caesar salad with your fingers. It's just, you don't want to go to a nice restaurant and do that. So yeah, it's a manners thing. It's a time and place thing. And again, what better example than Christ himself? Christ himself known to use some rather harsh words from time to time. Now, we've kind of sanitized these in our modern translations. But for example, when he says to the Pharisees, your good deeds are like dirty rags. When you hear dirty rags, you think like, you dusted a table or you washed your car with it. That's not what he's talking about. All right? He's talking about rags that you wipe your ass with, or probably within the context, maybe even rags that, a woman on the rag, you know what I'm saying? The bloody menstrual blood all over it just covered in the foulest of filth. Okay. So basically he told the pearl clutchers, what you think are good deeds, I call them ass wipes. I call them dirty ass wipes. Now, I'm sure there was many a shocked voice, many a proverbial pearls were clutched that day. Let's see. Somebody says, is invoking God or religion as a way to win an argument a way of taking the Lord's name in vain? You could easily argue it is. And I would say there are times when saying God or Jesus or especially saying God as almost an explanation mark, there are times I don't even think that's inherently sinful. If you witness something absolutely horrifying, something, you're in war and you just, you saw, a fellow soldier's head explode from a fucking, a big ass 50 caliber bullet went through his head or something. Who the hell knows? You just saw just unimaginable carnage and you just blurt out God. That's almost like at that point, kind of a almost guttural, instinctful prayer. It's almost like the most base element of you is almost reaching up towards the heavens. again, it's never really a clear cut thing. But when you're just using it as an expletive, just as an exclamation mark in a sentence, obviously that's, and yes, when you're you know when you're dragging God's name out just to win an argument, that's use hell, you could argue just being an absolute fucking hypocrite is using the Lord's name in vain as a Christian. And I mean, yeah, we all fail to live up to our standards, but I'm talking about, where A, you're not even trying to live up to them. B, you know, you you'll throw stones at other people for the very same thing you're doing. That kind of true hypocrisy. I'm not just talking about I have an ideal that I don't live up to. Let's see. Somebody says my biggest objection to Christianity is that in C.S. Lewis's The Last Battle, the followers of the false Aslan got to go to heaven, even though they helped kill innocents because they believed they were doing Aslan's will. Well, I mean, look, I don't know. Maybe I'm misrepresenting your thing there, but it's somebody could just be a shitbag your whole life, but if they believe in Jesus, that whatever. But that's implying like anybody fucking deserves to go to heaven in the first place. Damnation is what we all deserve. The fact that some of us have accepted the gift of salvation. Yeah, some people are better than others, but we all fail. We're all, remember in high school, if you got less than the 60%, it was an F. Well, I mean, you could get a 58% and somebody else could get a 35%. You both failed. Just because you did better than him doesn't mean jack shit. You both failed. And yeah, there are people who are genuine Christians and are just misguided on certain things. And, I mean, the people that burned witches, okay? That's a perfect example. Now, I mean, sometimes, when I'm hearing these fucking SJWs talk, I sometimes wonder if maybe just fucking lefties and commies and SJWs, maybe we just called them witches back then, and that's why we burn them. But, I mean, let's assume you just take the idea that, just innocent people were burned for accusations of witches. But here's the thing. Like, I mean, you can't argue, and maybe some of them obviously might have had, might not have been real believers, might have actually. But I mean, if you really believe that this woman in your village, had gone out in the woods and got butt fucked by Satan, and now she's the reason that all your crops are dying. I mean, if I genuinely believe that, I'm gonna fucking, burn her ass too. Like, the hell with her. It's more just a case of bad info than bad intent. But no, I mean, also you can't take. I mean, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe series of books. It's just a fiction C.S. Lewis made. It's not Christian doctrine. So I mean, don't take Christian doctrine out of it either. But I mean, I assume you're saying that you object to the idea that faith in Christ is the one criteria into heaven, and you're you know shouldn't being a good person get you into heaven? No, because you're not. Neither am I. Neither any of you. None of you are. Damn, that cricket's. Can y'all hear that cricket? It's loud as fuck from where I'm sitting. Where is he? It's driving me nuts. I'm not even sure if he's in this room, because sometimes I get crickets. This is like the not to dox myself too much, quote unquote, but the place I live is a split level, so the living room is sort of like half basement. You know what I mean? Like the windows up on the wall are right at the ground level outside. You know. Um, but also like if there were a back door here, it would lead right to ground level. It's one of it's split levels. You know what a split level is. So like right outside that window is a little front flower bed. And sometimes the crickets are so damn close to that window, I swear they're inside when they're not, and it just drives me nuts. So now I'm starting to second guess whether the little bastard was even in here. Let's see. Did you ever ask Lauren 6,000 for Sucky Southern to come onto your show? And I've been a little hard on Lauren Southern on here, and she had it coming. Not that she fucking listens or cares, but I will say that I did see a Lauren Southern video the other day that I thought was genuinely good. You know, where she talked about how libertarianism became so insanely cucked and stuff like that. And she says, I no longer call myself a libertarian. My views really haven't changed much, but libertarianism as a movement has moved away from me. That was a pretty damn good video. And, credit where credit's due. She actually put some fucking thought into that. She still doesn't deserve all the little pay piggies that she has, but that's just the nature of, Somebody in the chat says, chirp, chirp, motherfucker. I guess it's good background noise, because then, if, every time I don't have something to say, you hear crickets chirp in the background. I don't know. Let's see. Well, yeah, I think I have actually messaged Lauren Southern and asked her to be on the show before. Again, like tons of people, odds are, I think as much as, now I'm persona non grata to him because I dared to criticize him. I had asked Millennial Woes to be on before, just whatever. So he says the cricket really steals the show. Yep. Somebody says, I've never met a single person that hasn't been a piece of shit at one point. There definitely are no people who are inherently good. Yep. You should ask Movie Bob onto the show. Well, first of all, Movie Bob would be welcome to come on here. If I was ever messaged by Movie Bob and said, like, I want to come on, fine. I'm not gonna, like, he wouldn't. I mean, he wouldn't even come on Sargon's show. And Sargon's like, what? Kind of left to center, but it's too far right for Bob. Plus, Bob knows if he ever goes on one of these shows, it's going to end with him fucking reading and rage quitting. He's going to scream like Jonathan Ross and then hang up. And he's going to be made to look an absolute fucking fool. Because just sitting there with his nasally fucking Boston voice hyperventilating, he's not going to be able to act like the Ubermensch like he does on fucking Twitter, where he's going to lead the city folk to genocide the evil rural folk and all that other bizarre fucking fanfic he writes on his Twitter page. Yeah, Bob knows he'd be absolutely fucking destroyed. So he says, I would watch that Movie Bob coming on. I would lay down serious money to see Movie Bob on your show. Movie Bob wouldn't. Yeah, he never would. He's welcome to. He's welcome to anytime. And I will be at least, I will be more civil to him than he will be to me. That's my promise. I will bend over backwards to be civil and polite with him as I am with basically all my guests, whether they deserve it or not. Now there does come a breaking point where I'll throw your ass off, or I'll just start really shitting on you. But I'll be as civil as he's willing to be. Somebody says, thoughts on South Park bashing the alt-right / white nationalists. I think it could be hilarious since white nationalists are so pathetic and R-typed. A lot of them are, but at the same time, I mean, like, they're not going to be, first of all, they're not going to be shitting on white nationalists for any kind of legitimate reasons. I mean, I shit on white nationalists for legitimate reasons. Okay? Like, y'all need to stop jerking off to trap porn. They ain't going to save your race. You know? But they're not going to do that. They're just going to, oh, being racist is dumb. Both sides are dumb. Everyone's dumb. It's just going to be that, again, pathetically safe. That's what their attack on the white nationalists is going to be. Somebody says, do you watch Game of Thrones? I do not. Somebody says, Movie Bob would rupture a testicle if he so much as fired a .22 pistol. Yeah, that motherfucker's probably never held a gun in his life. Let's see. South Park took on Muhammad. That took balls, cred where it's due. Yeah, but that was a while ago. And then remember, they're not even allowed to. Remember the episode where they showed Muhammad that they're not even allowed to rerun anymore? Yeah, they're cocked. If Matt Stone and Trey Parker had any balls, they would have yanked that show off the air when South Park told them they couldn't show Muhammad. In that episode with where it's like they were also making fun of Family Guy in that episode. It was mostly making fun of Family Guy, actually, in that episode. But they'd have just said, okay, fine, Comedy Central, we're going to take our ball and go home. We're not going to make any more South Parks. Fucking sue us. Even if the contract said they had to make more South Parks, just don't. Or make them, like, intentionally shitty. Just, like, make it just like crown drawings of Kenny and Stan just standing there, just like, you know, just standing around saying, hi, Kenny, hi, Stan. And then it just like goes from day to night to day to night over and over again for 22 fucking minutes. Like just so the ratings tank. Like they should have just taken their ball and gone home then. Because they had enough money at that point. You know, they already had made their money. They didn't need to keep doing it. I mean, yeah, you never know. Like, I know the reason Seth MacFarlane keeps Family Guy going is that if he walks away, he loses the rights to it. That's just part of the agreement he has with Fox. So that show has to organically end. Like, it has to actually get canceled. So he said season 19 involved a lot of shitting on SJWs. Yeah, but it was so safe. That season when they were going hardcore after SJWs, and they had to make sure to make fun of Trump a lot in there too. It was just so fucking safe. Yeah, like I said, no time for safe rebellion anymore. I really just don't have any time for it. Something I'm looking forward to. I guess tomorrow, well, technically later today. I'm looking forward to Samus Returns, like that game on the 3DS. I'm looking forward to that remake. Like I said before, I traded in some stuff, so I got some store credit. I actually had it paid for in store credit, which is good because I couldn't justify getting a brand new game this month, but I lucked out. Really look forward to that tomorrow. I might be talking about that game Saturday, tomorrow, later today, technically. Somebody 20 minutes on Twitter was like, let me see the actual response there. So I do kind of want to read this because, again, it comes to what I was saying. You know, I had said, presuming on God is one of the very things the devil tempted Christ with when he said, throw yourself off the temple. God can and will provide sometimes, but that's not an excuse to knowingly make stupid decisions. That was another person responding, and then this one guy goes, no, God can and will always provide. I've never considered my economic situation before having another kid, and I always get along fine. fucking sinful. It's sickening. What kind of shit is sickening, man? I'm responding to it right now, so I'm triggered. Fucking people. Sure, he's a fucking Catholic too. It always are. Somebody says, have you seen the new It movie? I have not, although, as I said at the beginning of the stream, I will be doing a review a week from Sunday of both the 1990 version and the current version, comparing and contrasting the two. That's one of the sponsored streams. Somebody paid. Somebody saying about the new Metroid, Samus, it will be a tranny. Samus will be chasing down Metroids for sexual reasons. Yeah, be DeviantArt the fucking game. Let's see. Did you check out the link I sent you? How long do you think before? I didn't see it. I don't know where you sent it. But yeah, the new It movie, I'll be talking about that next Sunday, a week from Sunday. Which again, I'll reiterate, if you want to sponsor a live stream, I haven't really set the I haven't really come up with a set amount, so it's negotiable. Make me an offer. Worst I can say is no. But the way the sponsored live streams work is you're paying me to spend no less than an hour discussing a specific topic. And that's it. I don't do sponsored live streams where I'm going to shill products or anything like that. I mean, yeah, I'll do little ads on here, but I'm not going to do a whole infomercial. I'm not going to do it. That's not something I can do. But I will, I will discuss a topic for a length of time that's picked. I mean, again, make me an offer. The worst, I will say no to it. I will turn it down if it's not something where I think I could actually do something with. Like if you're like, discuss this thing you know jack shit about and don't care about, I'm probably not going to be able to, give you your money's worth. So I'm not going to take that offer. Somebody says you should do a sponsored live stream on Mexican sugar dancing. Well, that one would cost you. Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap this up. How long have I been going on? About 50 minutes. That's close to an hour. All right. So again, real quick, the programming note: tomorrow night, regular Saturday show. Sunday night, Luke and I will be doing a live stream where we'll be discussing the history of the Thunderbolts comic book at Marvel, focusing primarily on its early history, but I'll try and at least touch on basically all of it. Also, then a week from Sunday will be a discussion on both the 1990 and now 2017 versions of Stephen King's It, comparing and contrasting them, just overall overall thoughts on both, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's about all I got for tonight. Check out the VidMe channel if you haven't already. New content will be coming on that shortly. And yeah, you can check me out on Twitter, Gab, Facebook, all of the Bechtloff on all those things. If you enjoy the show, you enjoy the content, and I'm sure I've pissed off quite a few of you tonight, but if you do enjoy the show, there's the tip jar down below where you can send me some shekels. That's greatly appreciated, especially this month. I'm actually really glad I got those sponsored live streams. That made quite the difference because things were a little tight this month. But especially this month, tips of any size are greatly appreciated. They're always greatly appreciated, but they're doubly appreciated this month because things are a little tight. I had a 6-month car insurance bill, which I was able to cover, but things were a little tight. But yeah, if you enjoy the show, tips of any size greatly appreciated. And that's about all I got for tonight, folks. Thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.